how did that J.Lo record actually happen? You wrote the song for yourself, or you wrote it for J.Lo?
No, I wrote it for J.Lo.
This didn't make any sense to her. How did a melody that she had locked down over the summer, last summer, suddenly appear on Jennifer Lopez's album? This was something that really bothered her.
She has anything to do with me. I mean, my whole thing is singing, writing
She's
songs.
an actress.
Yeah, and you know, I've been doing this, you know, my whole life. Singing is first and foremost. It's a God-given talent that I'm grateful for. Her thing is.
Welcome back to your daily dose of scandal and glamour. Let's spill the tea on today's biggest celebrity stories. Baby, we gotta talk. You've heard the whispers about Beyonce and Jennifer Lopez quietly pushing other artists out the game. But what if I told you they didn't just compete with Mariah Carey? They snatched the career that was meant to be hers. Not by accident, not by timing, but on purpose. Word is, this wasn't some music industry shuffle. This was a cold, calculated takeover. And guess who's allegedly spilling that tea herself? Mariah. Yup, buckle up, because this story right here, it's straight up messy. Now let's rewind. Back in the 90s, Mariah wasn't just a pop girl, she was the girl. Penning her own hits, producing her own albums, and controlling her image like a boss in an industry that hated giving that kind of power to women, especially women of color. She was untouchable, glamorous, mysterious, mixed race, genre blending. And she didn't just set trends, she was the trend. R&B, pop, hip-hop collabs, all that crossover magic. She invented that lane. And let's not act brand new. If you dig into old interviews, you'll catch Beyonce looking up to Mariah like she was music royalty. Bey used to call her the inspiration, like she was the sun, the moon, and the holy falsetto. Facts. But somewhere along the line, things shifted. And the way these newer stars slid into that power spot, it's got people wondering, was Mariah pushed out of her own throne by the very ones who once praised her? Allegedly. Let's not play. Beyonce literally said Mariah was the reason she even picked up a mic. She didn't name drop Whitney or Aretha first. Nope, it was Mariah. That's who lit the spark. Beyonce once said Mariah's Vision of Love was the track that made her fall in love with singing. That was the moment that turned Lil Bey into a future icon. She even called Mariah one of her biggest inspirations, straight from her own mouth. And if you dig into old clips, you'll catch young Beyonce starstruck, like fully fangirling over Mariah's insane vocal range and presence. At one point, Bey said, Mariah Carey's voice comes from God, like it was that deep. But here's the twist. Somewhere along the way, all that praise, gone. The shout-outs stopped. The love disappeared. Suddenly, there were no more tributes, no more vocal flowers being thrown. People started whispering. Did something go down behind the scenes? Did Beyonce start feeling like she'd outgrown Mariah? 'Cause let's be real, Mariah, as legendary as she is, doesn't get the same level of critical worship as MJ or Prince. Sure, she's the voice. No one's denying that. But the media painted her into a sparkly corner, the over-the-top diva with the high notes and the holiday hits. Every December, it's like clockwork. Heels, Santa suit, memes. Meanwhile, Beyonce, she's out here building a legacy designed to be seen like the next MJ or the female Prince. And when you've got two icons aiming for the same crown, somebody's bound to get left behind, whether intentional or not. Beyonce didn't just aim to be a singer. She came to change the whole game. Visually, sonically, culturally, she carved out a lane meant for icons only. But maybe, just maybe, Mariah didn't fit that storyline she was building. Maybe Bey started seeing her as a rival instead of a role model. And here's where things get shady. See, there are folks in the industry who swear Beyonce's rise wasn't just built on talent and hustle. Allegedly, the machine behind her, including her husband Jay-Z, pulled a few strings to redirect Mariah's path.
Carey's voice comes from God. You can hear the gospel in her voice. Very nice to see her in the church. The whole message in the video was just Vision of Love. Was one of the first songs I heard when I was a kid, where I heard all of these riffs. And I was like, how does she do that? In this little short amount of time, the amount of notes she could squeeze in that one little bar, or 2 bars, was fascinating to me. And that's kind of when I started trying it. And it's something that I love to do in my music, but she completely inspired me.
Right off the main stage, not with hands, but with influence, connections, quiet backdoor deals. And when one career starts skyrocketing that fast, while another legend starts fading, people start talking. They say the game rewards the ones who play it dirty, kiss the right rings, keep quiet, fall in line. And when you don't, legends like Mariah, who wrote, produced, and earned every hit, end up sidelined, all while someone else slides into the spotlight she helped build. Now enter Jennifer Lopez. J.Lo popped up right around that same time. No shade, she's stunning, she can dance, she's got presence. But vocally, let's keep it real. She wasn't even breathing the same air as Mariah. Still, she somehow landed every single opportunity. Blockbuster movies, high-end fashion deals, fragrances, the Super Bowl stage, the global superstar label. And while there's no concrete proof Beyonce used J.Lo to sabotage Mariah, one thing is crystal clear. Someone was benefiting while Mariah was being boxed out. Here's the wild part. Back when Mariah was dealing with her messy breakup from Tommy Mottola, she was working on the Glitter soundtrack. She secured a rare sample from Yellow Magic Orchestra's 1978 track Firecracker for her song Loverboy. That was a major move. But next thing she knew, that same exact sample showed up, not on her track, but on Jennifer Lopez's record. And Mariah, she was just as stunned as the rest of us. So imagine this, Mariah locks in a melody, gets the clearance, lines it up for her Loverboy single. Everything's ready. Then boom, out of nowhere, she hears her exact melody pop up on Jennifer Lopez's track. Like what? J.Lo had some fame from In Living Color, yeah, but let's be honest, the singing side wasn't hitting. Broadway? Nope, she didn't have the chops, the voice wasn't there, and the acting? Let's just say it wasn't winning any Tonys. Enter Tommy Mottola, the music exec who also happened to be Mariah's husband at the time. Their marriage? Falling apart, and Mariah wanted out. Not just from the relationship, but from Sony too. But Tommy? He wasn't gonna let her go without payback. To get under her skin, he did something cold-blooded. He allegedly handed that same Loverboy track.
Beyonce Drunk in Love?
I don't know. I love Beyonce, but I have not.
Mariah just flew in from her own planet, I'm telling you. This is Mariah's.
From my own planet?
Yes.
I did.
Yes, absolutely.
And I don't.
The one Mariah had recorded first, straight to J.Lo. And then, he buried Mariah's version and fast-tracked J.Lo's instead. Just like that. Her own song, Snatched, and it wasn't a secret. J.Lo played her role like she didn't know a thing. But Mariah, she knew exactly what was going on. In her memoir, The Meaning of Mariah Carey, she didn't hold back. She basically laid it all out. Tommy was furious about the divorce, bitter about her leaving Sony, and he used every connection he had to ruin her momentum. She said straight up, everything that went wrong with Glitter, it all traced back to him. He wanted to block her shine. He made sure she wouldn't have a massive comeback after walking away from him and the label. Mariah wrote, after hearing my new song, using the same sample I used, Sony rushed to make a single for another female entertainer on the label, whom I don't know. And you already know what that I don't know her meant. Shade on maximum volume. Let's not forget that moment. Legendary levels of shade. Mariah was once asked about other female singers in the game. She gave Beyonce her props, calling her sweet and a talented songwriter. But when the interviewer brought up Jennifer Lopez, Mariah hit him with that iconic line, I don't know her. Whew, that one-liner shook the whole industry, and it's still going viral every time it resurfaces. Now fast forward to 2002, Mariah sat down with Larry King, and he didn't hold back. He straight up asked her if there was any beef between her and J.Lo. Mariah, cool as ever, but her words cut deep. She said, there's no competition if the other person can't sing. Ouch. And Mariah didn't stop there. She threw more glittery shade about those long-standing rumors that J.Lo doesn't actually sing her own songs. In an interview with Talk Magazine, Mariah joked about her own insane work schedule, sleeping only 3 hours a night. When told J.Lo claimed she sleeps 8, Mariah clapped back with, if I had the luxury of not having to sing my own songs, darling, I'd do that too, honey. Now here's the thing. Mariah wasn't just being petty for no reason. The talk about J.Lo allegedly not singing all her own vocals, that rumor's been around for years. And it's not just whispers, there's receipts. Take J.Lo's track I'm Real, released in 2001. Huge hit, right? But word on the street is, that track was originally meant for Ashanti. Yup, Ashanti even confirmed it. She said she didn't know why the song was taken from her. And Irv Gotti, who who was her label boss over at Murder Inc., supposedly just handed it over to J.Lo with no explanation. So when Mariah says what she says, it's not coming out of nowhere. There's a long line of stories, switches, and industry favors that make people look at J.Lo's catalog just a little sideways. Now here's where it gets wild. That track, I'm Real, it was already recorded. Vocals mixed, everything, with Ashanti's voice on it. And guess what? They allegedly left her vocals in the final version because J.Lo couldn't hit the notes. Yup, those background vocals you hear, that's still Ashanti. The label just layered J.Lo over the top and called it a day. But here's the kicker. That song was originally meant for Mariah. Before Ashanti ever touched it, it was reportedly being lined up for Mariah Carey. And Irv Gotti himself said it. Tommy Mottola told him to hand it over to J.Lo just to spite Mariah, like it was a revenge move, plain and simple. See, they knew Ashanti wasn't gonna go along with sabotaging Mariah, so instead they used J.Lo, who, let's be real, played the game and didn't ask questions. She showed up, took the track, and ran with it. And that's not the only one. Remember Ain't It Funny? Yeah, that's another hit tied to Ashanti. She wrote the lyrics, sang the hook, and even dropped some ad-libs. Basically, she built the song. J.Lo just had to roll into the studio and lay down the main vocals. Meanwhile, the heart of the track was all Ashanti, and it almost happened again with What's Love? Yup, Fat Joe spilled the tea on that one. He said Irv Gotti and Ja Rule called him at 3 a.m. like, yo, come to the studio, we made a track for you. Joe pulls up at 4 in the morning, here's What's Love? And they're like, this is for you and J.Lo. We need the Latino vibe on this one. Only problem? That song had already been promised to Ashanti, and J.Lo, she allegedly knew it, but was still down to take it anyway. No hesitation, just grab the track and go. Man, these stories make it sound like J.Lo wasn't just collecting hits, she was collecting other people's songs too. Ashanti finally spoke up, and she didn't hold back. After 2 whole decades of staying silent, she opened up about the shady treatment she faced in the industry. In an interview with Metro UK, she got real. You should always care about credit for what you do, regardless of what industry you're in. And she's right. In today's world of smoke and mirrors, giving people their credit isn't just important, it's necessary. She admitted it was frustrating. Years of her vocals being used without recognition, especially on tracks tied to J.Lo. People were shocked when the truth started leaking out. Ashanti said she was grateful folks were finally waking up to what had really been going on, but that gratitude came after a lot of emotional damage. She described the experience like this. It's weird because, obviously, you get frustrated for not getting credit or not being properly labeled, but then that turns into something you get admired for. That's painful honesty, and Ashanti isn't alone. Let's be real. There's a long list of artists, especially black women, who've allegedly been ghosted from their own work. Songs they helped create, quietly handed over to bigger names like J.Lo while they were pushed into the background. And Beyonce? She's not above the whispers either. Her name has been brought up more than once in these same behind-the-scenes power plays. But here's the twist. Word on the street is that Mariah Carey might finally be ready to speak her truth, for real this time. No cryptic lines, no veiled shade, full-on exposure. Insiders say she's been quietly cooking something. Maybe a second memoir, maybe a documentary, maybe just saving it all for that one perfect moment to unleash the truth. The sabotage, the song stealing, the silence, the betrayal, and yes, even the roles Beyonce and J.Lo allegedly played in all of it. Because when Mariah finally talks, you know the industry's gonna shake. And if Mariah really decides to tell it all, woo, we might finally get the truth behind decades of messy whispers. Was J.Lo fully aware she was being used as a pawn in the glitter sabotage? Or did she just go along with the perks and keep it quiet? And what about Beyonce? Did she really pull back from Mariah once it didn't fit the polished image she was building? Or maybe, just maybe, the industry looked at Mariah, raw, real, emotional, and unfiltered, and decided she was no longer safe to invest in. Too bold, too outspoken, too powerful without needing their approval. So they shifted their money, their connections, and their spotlight to the next wave. Artists who'd play the game without shaking the table. Whatever the case, if Mariah breaks her silence, it's gonna blow the lid all the way off. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to stay in the loop with all the latest. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update, and I'll catch you in the next video.